Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, March 18th, day after St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully you had a good time yesterday and that you're ready to take on the world this morning on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We're going to start you off with weather because I've got my turtleneck back on. We're back into winter conditions. I know we're not in official spring yet. Well, meteorological spring from our weather team. That's all I've learned. But outside, the temperature doesn't say so. And as a result, Majestic schools, Watauga, Ashe, and Avery County schools, parents, you probably know this already, on a 2-hour delay this morning. But Majestic, as we bring you back here into the Live Impact studio, it is sunny outside. I saw the nice cotton candy clouds when the sun rose, so that was pretty nice. But, oh, man, it's freezing.
It'll be similar to yesterday. Cold in the morning, kind of just struggling to warm even in the afternoon, but we do have much warmer temperatures ahead. Speaking of spring, the good news is
spring starts officially on Friday.
There it is.
There you go.
Okay.
Starts on Friday at 10:46 in the morning. Now, for meteorologists, we keep track of seasons differently. So we've already been celebrating the start of spring since the beginning of March. But for everyone else, it will officially be on Friday. So it's going to actually warm up just in time for the first day of spring. Live camera looks all around. It's so beautiful outside. From Monroe to Dallas, Lake Norman, even right here in the Queen City. One of those days where, yes, you do want to grab your heavier jacket, that heavier layer. You'll want it because you have that chill in the air, and just a little bit of wind continues to make it feel even colder than it already is. So again, we're watching for nice, mild conditions throughout the day. We're waking up to still 20s and 30s. Tomorrow's going to be sunny and cool, and as we're looking ahead, those 80-degree temperatures are on the way. Can you believe that? Going from 30s to eventually some 80-degree temperatures. Currently, right now, we're at 34 in Charlotte, 26 up there in Boone, 23 in Jefferson, and then Rock Hill starting out the day right around 34 degrees. It's really pretty, though. Earlier, we had a little bit of cloud coverage that snuck in, and that actually helped those temperatures from dropping too significantly, but now they're starting to clear out again. Wind chills. Remember, this is what it feels like on your skin. It's the combination of our air temperature plus a little bit of a north wind. We don't have really gusty winds today, but it doesn't take a whole lot to make it feel even colder than it already is. Feeling like it's 27 degrees in Charlotte, around 26 for our friends just to the east of us out there in Monroe, and Lancaster 26 as well. So if you're heading out for your morning walk, you will definitely want a jacket. By the afternoon, we're only rising into the upper 40s today. So similar to yesterday, I don't think we'll even reach 50 degrees today. Now, will we have sunshine? Yes, and that always helps. It actually makes it feel a little warmer on your skin. So even if you do want to just get out and get some fresh air, at least we're working with some sunshine and not a whole lot of cloud coverage. Normal high now, 65 degrees. So we are pretty far away from that, and by Friday we'll start to feel much warmer temperatures. Here's our satellite and radar, so you can see really across the Carolinas not much going on. We had this little band of snow push through this morning. It was really odd. A lot of people on their phones were getting notifications saying the snow in Charlotte will end soon, and here's the thing, it was not snowing, but it was snowing high above us. So in our neighborhoods, outside, looking outside your window, there was no snow coming down. But sometimes the apps, of course, they have some issues. But they did detect some of the snow high up in the atmosphere. But kind of like how sometimes when it rains and it evaporates before it actually touches the ground, it was one of those setups. It was so cold high up in the atmosphere that it was snow. And then once it got lower and lower, it evaporated and we didn't have anything, but it kind of felt like snow. So cold out there, a little breezy at times. So that was kind of something interesting in the weather forecast this morning. Futurecast looks like this over the next several days, you guys. It's going to be really, really mild. We'll just generally see a good mix of sun and clouds. Temperatures gradually increase. And as far as the rain goes, we are dry. Dry today all the way into our weekend. So if I were you, I would start making some weekend plans. It's going to be really gorgeous, nice and dry. Small rain chances return as we're heading into early next week. But look at these temperatures. So this is over the next 7 days. Remember, we should be at 65 degrees as we're heading into Thursday. So tomorrow, 63 is where we'll top off. That's just 2 degrees away from our normal. And then by Friday, you can see those little dots, those black dots, they're now into the red. Red meaning we are above average or even well above average. On Sunday, temperatures 87 degrees. I know you guys are excited for that.
Yeah, we do.
I'm excited for that too. That'll be nice. 87 degrees. What a warm up. And then eventually they go back down. I mean, March is such a wild weather month. We have our jet stream that fluctuates so much. Chris did a weather IQ package on the jet stream explaining what it is. Basically, think about a river way high up in the atmosphere that has a ton of wind with it. So as it lifts more north, we start to see warmer temperatures as the air from the south kind of approaches and pushes through. through. And then when the jet stream dips more south, then that cold northerly air starts to push through. So we just see it fluctuate a lot, back and forth, back and forth. Today in the mountains, a little warmer than yesterday. Can you believe it? 38 degrees. That's warmer than your high yesterday. You didn't even touch 30. 38 in Blowing Rock, 39 there in Fleetwood. You had a few very, very light snow flurries up there in the mountains. They're basically all done. I just saw a beautiful camera shot coming in from Beach Mountain. Gorgeous sunny skies. And I know still those ski resorts looking pretty happy with a little bit of fresh snow over the last couple of days. Foothills, 50 degrees there in Morganton. Heading to the south, looking at Shelby, 49 for you, and Gastonia. And then here in Charlotte, we're going with a high of 49 degrees. Low 50s from Lancaster to Chesterfield. So today, it's just cold. It's mild. We'll likely see just a good mix of sun and clouds later on in the afternoon. Now, by tomorrow, we'll be waking up to temperatures that are right around freezing. So another day where you grab your coat, make sure kids are all ready to go, whether they have things to do as they're waiting at the school bus stop, send them with a jacket, or if they have any after-school sports activities. Tomorrow will be a little bit warmer, so that's going to be very nice. And then by Friday, starting to feel like spring, which is perfect for the first day of spring. Those low temperatures eventually start to stabilize out as well. Now here's that jet stream. So notice we're going to start to pump in that warm air from the west. The warm air is indicated in orange. So more orange we get, the warmer it's going to be. So that takes us into our Saturday and Sunday. That explains that nice warm up ahead. And all that cold air will stay well to the north. You can see it there shaded in blue. Weekend forecast. Let's get to this. Saturday, a high of 81 degrees. Partly sunny skies, a little bit of cloud coverage here and there, but 81, how nice is that? Sunday, I think it's going to be even more beautiful. Hardly any cloud coverage on Sunday, and high temperatures, 87 degrees. Now, I don't think we'll beat our daily high record for Sunday. Right now, it's 89 degrees. We'll have to see if the weather pattern changes at all, but still 87 degrees in March. That is absurd. It's so warm when we're supposed to just be into the 60s. But again, we fluctuate. We're in the 30s now, should be into the 60s. Next thing you know, we're going to be into the 80s. Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. We'll break this down for you. Overall, nice today. Low temperatures tonight. Remember, waking up to freezing temperatures for your Thursday morning. Then temperatures will basically double, going from 30s in the morning to low 60s by the afternoon. Friday, I think Friday is going to be perfect. Sunny skies, a high of 73 degrees. It's going to be beautiful for the first day of spring. That officially starts just after 10:30 in the morning on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, all about the warmth. 81 Saturday, great conditions for the Charlotte FC game, and then Sunday, kind of on the verge of being hot. Now, I have noticed a couple of my neighbors have already planted. Now, it's still too early for that because these temperatures continue to drop. I mean, this morning when we're waking up to 20s and 30s, just not quite time yet. Upper 60s by Monday, and then Tuesday, mid 50s. So you can see how we're kind of going back down. Kind of a roller coaster forecast, I'd say.
Oh my gosh. So do you, 81, 87 higher than normal?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we should be at 65.
Oh my goodness.
65 is the norm.
So people are going to be tempted to do some gardening this weekend.
Yeah.
I know Brad always advises to wait till tax day.
Yeah, I think that's
looking
great,
at the long range, April or end of March.
Yeah,
still have a chance to get to some cooler temps, right?
Definitely. I've been walking. Yeah. I'll just walk the dogs. I'm like, oh, this plant's pretty, and then I'm like, wait, it is still way too early for this, you know. Yeah. But I think some people will put things like in pots, and then they can bring them inside.
Oh, that's
you
true.
know, like if you wanted to put something out on your patio. Not really recommended because it's kind of a pain, and we're working with such fluctuating temperatures, but you know, at least if it's in a pot, you can bring it in.
That's true. That's good advice there.
Yeah.
I need to start my gardening skills kind of small. Anyway.
Do you have a favorite greenhouse or greenhouse that you go to get stuff, or do you just like go to Walmart or something like that?
Yeah, it's the Depot for the home.
Okay.
You know, it's the Lowe's so far. I need help.
So do I. I usually go to like Lowe's or something like that too.
Right.
But there's a lot of cute little greenhouses around here, but I just don't know like where.
I know. And then maybe some of the farmers markets, some of the smaller farmers markets, they could really help you out. So looking forward to that, though.
Me too.
Definitely getting outside in the after dinner walks, all of the things that bring in spring.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, man. Majestic, thank you so much. Looks pretty nice, though. Enjoy that last crispiness.
Yeah.
Because, come summertime, we're not going to think about that right now. We're not. No. Toasty? Mm-mm.
Humid.
And hot. It'll be here before you know it as well. All right, Majestic, thank you. And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:13 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, the Iran war enters its 19th day, and another top official leadership in Iran killed overnight. Alice Barr with NBC News has the latest from Washington.
With the war's costs mounting, including a deadly missile strike in central Israel this morning, the Trump administration is stepping up the fight to take out Iranian firepower and secure the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. Military Central Command announcing it used multiple 5,000-pound bombs to target storage sites near the strait, holding Iranian missiles they say were threatening American ships.
We knocked out things that nobody thought were possible to knock out.
The push comes as Iran's effective blockade of that vital oil route keeps forcing gas prices up, and as President Trump has sought to pressure allies into helping secure and unblock it.
They don't want to help us, which is amazing. I mean, amazing. And I didn't do a full court press because I think if I did, they probably would be, but we don't need help.
All as the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, Joe Kent, resigned in opposition to the war. The retired Green Beret and longtime Trump supporter writing, quote, "Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby."
It's a good thing that he's out because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was.
The White House press secretary saying the president had, quote, "strong and compelling evidence that Iran was going to attack the United States first." Democrats argue they haven't seen that clear evidence.
And nobody should know it better than Joe Kent, who's in charge of counterterrorism.
In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
We'll tell you.
After the break, we are going to talk brain awareness. It is Brain Awareness Week. We have a doctor in the house here on Live Impact News. We'll be back in 2 minutes on WCNC Plus. At 9:18, back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. This week is Brain Awareness Week, and new data from the American Heart Association shows nearly 57 million people worldwide are living with Alzheimer's disease or another form of dementia. The hopeful part, though, although the number is climbing, the hopeful part here is that a lot of these factors, experts say, are within our control. So let's go to the expert. Dr. Robert Wiggins is a neurologist with Novant Health, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation, Doctor. Thanks for joining us here in the Live Impact studio.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me.
All right, so where do we start? I actually do want to start with when we talk about brain health. What are we talking about?
Yeah, well, of course, I think the brain is the most important organ of the body, and whenever we're speaking about brain health, we're really talking about interacting with the world. We're talking about doing the work that we need to. We're talking about being with our children. We're talking about the important ways that we're engaging with the people around us, engaging with the things that we want to do. Super important, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as we're living, our brain is the thing that really brings us quality of life, brings us independence, and really makes life worth living.
So I just mentioned here that the number of folks who are living with dementia, some kind of form of dementia, including Alzheimer's, that number is climbing.
Yeah.
I'm reading 1 in 9 American adults over 65 has some form of it. What's driving the increase?
Yeah, and that's 7 million Americans that have some type of dementia. There's a lot of things driving the increase. I think the first is that we're all getting older in a good way because we're living longer, right? With medical advances, we're living longer, and what we know is that at least Alzheimer's disease, it's one of the major risk factors is age. The older we get, the more likely we are to have Alzheimer's disease or develop Alzheimer's disease. The other thought is that, for the most of us, we're not necessarily making the right choices, right? So whether that's our diet or our exercise, maybe we're more sedentary than we should be. There are a lot of things that are making us more and more likely to have either dementia, major cognitive impairment, or something like Alzheimer's disease.
So when we talk about heart health and that's good for brain health,
Yes.
how is that linked?
Well, I think it's linked in so many ways, right? What's good for the heart is good for the brain. Think about this. The heart is what's pumping blood through the body. And on the heart, there are blood vessels. Well, in the brain, too, there are blood vessels. And if those blood vessels on the heart are getting clogged, so are the blood vessels in the brain. And the problem with the heart is it can't pump as well. And then whenever the brain doesn't get the blood that it needs, whenever those blood vessels are tightened and smaller, the areas of the brain that we're thinking, recognizing our friends, family, that kind of thing, those aren't working as well. And so whether it's cholesterol, smoking, all things we can talk about, blood pressure, it is really, really important to take care of the body, the heart, and the brain.
So let's break that down. Blood pressure, cholesterol. How does that work with the brain, the levers?
Yeah, so what we know is this, that people who have higher blood pressure or too high blood pressure, folks that have bad cholesterol or too high cholesterol, the heart is not working well, the arteries in the heart are not working well, and those same problems that hit the heart will start to kind of gunk up the arteries of the brain. We actually can take pictures of the brain and see small areas of the brain that are impacted by what we call it chronic white matter disease, which is effectively, I don't want to call it mini strokes, but really small areas of the brain that just are not doing so well. They're not thriving. And what we know is this, is that if we can make those things better, if we can really impact them, lower our cholesterol, get to a healthy blood pressure, stop smoking, for example, our heart and body will not only be healthier, but the brain will too.
So we can reverse the white gunk in the brain by doing the right things and lowering the cholesterol and the blood pressure?
What I would say is that what we can do is prevent it from getting worse, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, I mean, the thought is, whether it's preventing or reversing, we got to do something now, right? We
Yeah.
got to impact things now. We got to make a difference. And there's a lot of ways that we can do that.
So let's talk about early detection, or once you realize maybe there's a decline of some kind. What are the signs?
So there are a lot of different signs of dementia, a lot of different signs of cognitive impairment. We typically think, or most people say, oh, I'm having memory trouble. Now I forget where my keys are. I forget where things are. I forget what I was thinking about names all the time. And that does not necessarily suggest dementia, but it's really whenever we're having more meaningful cognitive changes, like forgetting to take our medications or having trouble with our finances or maybe not recognizing a family member, getting lost. Those are some of the things that are really major signs saying, hey, this is not just something, this is not a normal thing about getting older, right? This is not a symptom of aging. This is something like cognitive impairment or dementia. That is the time whenever someone needs to go to their doctor, talk to their spouse, for example. And the thing is that, in the past, we honestly didn't really think there was a whole lot that we could do. right? We could be supportive, we could add some medications that maybe just help the symptoms a little bit. But I tell you what, times have changed. The things that we can do to try to actually slow down the progression of something like Alzheimer's disease are a lot, right? Even in the past 2 or 3 years, there are new medications that have been given to really try to slow down that progression. And what does that mean? That means better lives in the future, right?
Yeah.
That means higher quality of life, more independence for the future.
When I think about aging and wanting to be the best version of myself at 70, 80, going into and living my best life in my golden years, talk to us about, that actually starts now in mid-age or even younger.
Yes.
And how do we do that?
If you have a brain, you should be protecting it, right? And so the thought there would be whenever someone's young, we think about things like, let's really focus on education, right? We have some evidence that shows that the more educated someone is, the more exposure to education they are, the better their brain will be in the future, right? The less likely they're to have dementia. Now, it's kind of a hot topic issue, but we talk about concussions, brain injuries, right, with sports. It's really important to protect our brains, right, even whenever playing sports. And then we get to that kind of 20s, 30s area where we may think that we're a little invincible.
Yeah.
But in our 30s, we start to feel like, oh gosh, life is coming at me really hard. And that is not too late, and it is not too early to start trying to make some of these changes. So
Yeah.
whether that's really focusing on trying to improve our cholesterol, improve our blood pressure, making sure that we are sleeping well, and making sure we're getting really good exercise. It's actually part of something called Life's Essential 8, the American Heart Association talks about. Just saying, hey, let's make an improvement now. Let's really try to intervene now. It is not too late, and it is not too early to start caring about your brain.
Is there an emphasis that should be put on nutrition over diet or vice versa? What's your prescription?
Yeah, so actually the Alzheimer's Association, excuse me, recently came out with this thing called the Brain Health Recipe. And one of the 4 things it focuses on is nutrition. And one of the best diets is called the MIND diet. Now, it's a little bit similar to the Mediterranean diet and something called the DASH diet, which is really good for the heart. And what it does is it actually slows down the neurodegeneration or brain problems, right? So it's really important that we focus on that type of diet. Now, the important thing with this diet is it's not necessarily this kind of crazy change your diet, weight loss type thing. It's small changes. So it talks about 10 things that we should try to increase in our diet and 5 things that we should try to decrease. Now, one of the most important is dark leafy green vegetables. That's spinach and kale. And we all know that we can add some of these things to our diet. That's something that I've been trying to do lately.
I got a spinach salad in the refrigerator waiting for me,
There you go.
Carlene. You got
Good for you.
Carlene's a good
I've
spinach
got greens,
girl.
I have spinach.
You got your greens ready to
Arugula.
go. Arugula.
Yeah, you know.
All the leafy dark
That's
greens.
what you need.
All right. Sugar. We're hearing a lot about taboo with sugar. What is? I'm sure you're probably going to say try to lower or put a cap on your sugar intake. But why is sugar bad, or we have to watch it?
I mean, I'll say this first: life is good and life is worth living, right? And so I don't think we necessarily have to say, "Oh, 0 sugar, 0 chocolate chip cookies." I mean, life is good. We should have those things, but part of the thought is moderation, right? And what we know is that increased amounts of sugar, can lead to things like diabetes, and we know that diabetes can increase our risk of brain issues, dementia in the future. The thought is maybe we try to change our framework. So rather than thinking about sugar or other calories being, really bad for us, what if we think about it as fuel, right? And so we're eating whether it's that spinach salad that you're having or whether it's a little extra sugar in this, we're using it for fuel. And so I don't think they have to be avoided altogether, but the thought is we have to figure out how we're going to take care of our brain. And that may include reducing our sugar intake.
I have so many other questions, and I'm kind of forgetting it because it's happening so fast. How about, people are taking these body scans and looking at their, I don't know.
Yeah.
Everything.
All of that, right? Yes, no, doesn't matter.
Too much.
Controversial, yes.
What I would say, this is inspiring. There are so many new ways that we can try to take care of our health. The way of dementia, the way of Alzheimer's disease, the field is changing completely, right? And so there are a lot of ways that the field is changing, and there's so much new research going on. From my understanding, the body scan type thing is not necessarily really focusing on brain health. I think that some folks would say, hey, that's the way to go. Others would say not. What I would focus on is what I would say is the research and our evidence. What we know is that there are things that we can do to make our bodies better, our hearts better, and our brains better. And those are the things we've talked about so far.
How about genetics? If both or one parent has some form of dementia, what are the chances that you are going to get it? And conversely, that you don't get it? What can you do?
Yeah, so you had mentioned those, modifiable risk factors. Well, genetics are non-modifiable risk factors. So
okay.
we do think that genetics does play a role in someone's likelihood of having dementia, Alzheimer's or otherwise. The thought, though, is that rarely is that a foregone conclusion, right? If you have a genetic risk, that's a risk. That doesn't mean you have a genetic, guarantee that you're going to have dementia, Alzheimer's, or whatnot. So my thought is that if you do know that your family has a more likelihood of having dementia, or you know that you have the genetic factors, that doesn't mean you give up. That doesn't mean that you expect or plan or put on your calendar that you're going to have Alzheimer's disease in a few years. What you do is you start now, right? And you start making changes now. You try to take care of your brain now, the things that we've talked about. I think that there are so many ways that we can optimize our brain health, optimize the way our brains are working even now. That's what I would recommend. Not all dementia, not all Alzheimer's is genetic. And a lot of folks are going to have these things not because of the non-modifiable risk factors, but because of the modifiable risk factors.
Oh, really?
And so it's really important to modify the things you can modify and maybe, let go of the things you can't.
Okay, so I know you've had sprinkled some messages of optimism, things you can do. Medicine has come a long way. What, for the folks who are dealing with this firsthand right now, what do we tell them today? What's the message?
I think there's two audiences here. There's the person who has dementia or who's developing dementia, and also the caregiver, the loved one. And the messages may be a little different. The message for the person who has dementia would be exactly what you're saying. There is hope and there is optimism. The nature, the game, the field is changing dramatically. We have medications now that we can give that will slow down the progression of Alzheimer's if we're giving those at an early stage. And those were not available recently, right? And so the future is bright. If you have Alzheimer's disease, if you have dementia, it's challenging. But I do think there are really exciting things coming around.
Good.
If you're someone who is caring for the other person, your loved one who has Alzheimer's disease, my thought would be this: hold on, take care of yourself, and look for support. It is not a solo task, right? It's a partnership, and you need to find a team. Your doctor and the doctor's office can be a team, but you got to really find other team members to be there for you. You got to take care of yourself too.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely takes a team and a village, as we've seen. Some of the celebrities like Bruce Willis, who definitely put a face to some of these diseases, gives us kind of an eye, a look into what can happen and what they're doing about it. So for better or for worse, we get to kind of take a peek at what they can do and what we can do for ourselves.
If I could say, I
please.
think a lot of people, we talk about heart attacks, we talk about strokes, but what people fear is dementia.
Yeah.
Because what that means is that you have the body that's working, but your brain just is not working. And I think that, we say that, of course, fear can be a driving factor, but I would turn that around. Like, what if rather than fearing dementia, fearing Alzheimer's disease, we focus on trying to provide a healthy brain for ourselves in the future, right? If we say, hey, here are the things that I can do to try to make sure that in 20, 30 years, I am there for my grandchild's high school graduation, that I can be present, that I understand what's going on. And so, fear is an important motivator, but I think also the hope of a great life and really good brain power is so important for the future too. And so the thought is, don't just be afraid of what could come, but be excited about the ways that you can take care of your brain and be excited about the way that your brain can work in the future too.
Does that include doing crossword puzzles every day?
It's
Carly,
a good question. Hey, my
right?
mom, shout out to Jan. I know she's
Hi-
watching right
hi,
now.
Jan.
She's like, I do crossword puzzles.
So
and
my husband
Sudoku
as well.
and to keep her brain
Sudoku,
sharp.
yes.
Is brain teasers?
They certainly won't hurt.
They won't
Let's
hurt.
say that,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what we know is this, is I talk about this, is we got to stay cognitively engaged. And so the way that I say is if someone's having a little bit of brain troubles, they should be the one to order the pizza, right? They should be the one to call and actually answer these complex questions, or they should be the ones that are really challenging their brain. I do brain teasers, right?
Okay.
I think the other comment, though, is this, is Sometimes TV is great and just like watching, binging, whatever. But the thought is this is, what about something that's actually going to challenge your brain, right? What about something that's going to really engage your brain, whether that's reading or conversations, staying socially engaged,
Socially engaged.
those are really, really important. And what we know is that whenever people become more isolated, particularly if they have hearing loss, right? Hearing loss is an awful thing that can actually make us more likely to have memory trouble, cognitive impairment, dementia. If we can move away from social isolation, move away from those type things and engage with our community, engage with the people that we care about, our brains will be better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that social engagement, that's a form of cognitive engagement, cognitive exercise as well. But keep doing the crossword puzzles.
And the sleep thing. A lot of people are challenged with sleep. I love that this is a topic. It's, people are always talking about trying to get more sleep and why they're not sleeping and the blue screen and all that. But help us out.
Well, I can tell you this, I didn't get enough sleep last night, and you guys may not have either. So it's something we're all working on. The thought is this, is that we've started to learn that maybe sleep is not just what's resting the body, but it's actually resting the brain, and it may be actually cleaning the brain. And so some of the things some of the parts of the brain that may be detracting from our brain health can be cleaned out actually while we're sleeping. Yeah. And so it's not just quantity of sleep, but it's quality of sleep too. And there are so many things that can impact sleep, whether that's something like sleep apnea, but also depression, anxiety. I have a lot of patients that wake up in the morning at 2 or 3 a.m. and they cannot go back to sleep.
That's me.
Yeah. And, I'm not saying this is you, but that could be work stress. That could be family stress. That could be depression. There could be so many different things. And the thought is this, is that sleep is important. And I think for far too long, we have just gotten by, right? Whether it's that kind of popular kind of like grinding culture or just get after it. Sure, that's good in your 20s and 30s, but then there becomes a point when you actually need sleep. You need to take care of yourself. And sleep is so important, and we all should probably be trying to get more of it.
Oh, for sure. Amen to that. Any other questions from the room? This was great.
I think I'm good.
Yeah? All right, to spinach salads.
Spinach salads, arugula,
Sleep,
and Sudoku. That's what I'm going to be doing. Yeah.
All right, Janet, keep on going with your brain teasers. Dr. Robert Wiggins from Novant Health. Thank you, talking about heart health, brain awareness health. They go together. We're going to do all the things we can so we can live a great life well into the golden years. All right, appreciate that. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. 9:37 is the time here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. So we want to go now to Washington. This is the nomination hearing for DHS, the Secretary of Homeland Security, now that Kristi Noem was let go from her position. This is for from Oklahoma, Mark Wayne Mullen, the nomination hearing as we listen in on Live Impact News.
Follow every day. The DHS has faced management challenges since the start of the Trump administration, and over the past year, many of those challenges have unfortunately only increased. As soon as President Trump was sworn in, he made deep cuts to counterterrorism offices and programs, forced out or reassigned key personnel, and redirected the focus of limited remaining counterterrorism resources away from the serious threats that we face and towards targeting the president's perceived political enemies. The administration has also gutted our nation's main cybersecurity agency, once again forcing out or reassigning highly talented personnel, slashing budgets, and limiting the agency's work to help private companies address significant cyber attacks and protect Americans from criminal hackers and support secure elections. The administration has also taken an axe to FEMA, cutting staff and freezing or delaying critical grant funding for everything from emergency food and shelter after a disaster to flood mitigation programs and security grants to nonprofits, including houses of worship. All these cuts and reassignments have been made at the expense of vital missions, including the core terrorism prevention and response mission the department was created to address. In doing so, the Trump administration has broken trust between law enforcement and the communities they are intended to protect, a break that will have a generational impact on public safety and security. And now, after President Trump's reckless war of choice against Iran, the threats to our nation have never been higher. In my home state of Michigan, just last week, we saw both a major medical device manufacturer get hacked by an Iranian-backed group and a horrific violent attack on Temple Israel, a Metro Detroit area synagogue. President Trump's unilateral and unchecked executive actions have put Americans at risk, and we need a steady, qualified leader at the Department of Homeland Security to address these serious threats. How the Homeland Security Secretary responds to a crisis sends signals to everyone, from the department's own personnel to the American people and to the entire world. It's not the role of the Secretary to be a cable news commentator in the wake of a crisis. The Secretary's role is to lead the response and work to ensure the department that they are leading isn't actually the cause of the crisis. A Secretary who jumps to conclusions without the facts, as we saw in the case of Renee Good and Alex Preddy's killings, only worsens the situation and actually makes us less safe. This is a role where temperament matters, where judgment matters, and where experience matters. We have seen under Secretary Noem's leadership how shortcomings in these traits can compound the challenges that already come with leading a large and complex department. And now, more than ever, we need a DHS Secretary who is a steady hand, who will provide thoughtful leadership, follow the facts, tell the truth, and hold agency officials accountable when they need to be held accountable. We need a DH Secretary who is committed to the rule of law and who will protect and cooperate with independent oversight, whether that's from the Inspector General or from members of Congress. And we need a DHS Secretary who is free from distractions and conflicts of interest that only undercut the department's work and also break trust with the American people. Senator Mullen, I appreciate you being here today to answer our questions about these concerns and your experience and qualifications for the job. And while I'm interested in hearing more about your vision for leading the department, I do have reservations about your readiness to take on such a significant role at such a critical time. I hope you will provide us with the substantive answers today and a candid recognition of where this administration has fallen short on safeguarding our homeland security as you seek to lead the department as our nation faces ongoing security threats and war with Iran.
Senator Mullen is to be introduced today by Senator Langford. Senator Langford, you are recognized for your introduction of our witness.
Paul, thank you. Mark Wayne, I'm proud that you're here. I get the honor of getting a chance to be able to recognize and introduce my friend, Mark Wayne Mullen, my fellow senator from the state of Oklahoma, and somebody that I've seen work incredibly hard to be ready for every single task you've ever taken on, and to be able to not only do it, but do it well. There are a lot of folks that think they know you. I actually get to know you, and I have had the opportunity to be able to serve beside you for now over a decade and have seen your tenacity and your work effort. Folks may not know that the first time we really got to know each other, ironically enough, was around a natural disaster, a FEMA event. It was Briarwood Elementary in 2013 when a tornado came right through the heart of Oklahoma. You had literally just been elected a few weeks
and war with Iran.
Senator Mullen is to be introduced today by Senator Langford. Senator Langford, you are recognized for your introduction of our witness.
Paul, thank you. Mark Wayne, I'm proud that you're here. I get the honor of getting a chance to be able to recognize and introduce my friend, Mark Wayne Mullen, my fellow senator from the state of Oklahoma, and somebody that I've seen work incredibly hard to be ready for every single task you've ever taken on, and to be able to not only do it, but do it well. There are a lot of folks that think they know you. I actually get to know you, and have had the opportunity to be able to serve beside you for now over a decade and have seen your tenacity and your work effort. Folks may not know that the first time we really got to know each other, ironically enough, was around a natural disaster, a FEMA event. It was Briarwood Elementary in 2013 when a tornado came right through the heart of Oklahoma. You had literally just been elected a few weeks before that and had just taken the oath of office. The Oklahoma delegation all gathered together at the very tragic event there at Briarwood Elementary. And while we were meeting with the principal and meeting with teachers and families and walking through the debris field that was that elementary school, we turned around to be able to look for Mark Wayne, and for a minute we couldn't find him because in one of the debris piles there was water shooting out of the middle of it, and his plumber instinct said, I got to go find that and figure out how to solve that. And so while everyone else was shaking hands and meeting people, he was digging through the debris field to find a way to be able to shut off the water that was shooting through the middle of that destroyed elementary school. And I remember smiling and thinking, he's a guy that doesn't mind getting his hands dirty to actually go solve the problem. Where there's a problem he can solve, he's going to do whatever it takes to actually solve it. Mark Wayne grew up in a very small town in far eastern Oklahoma, ironically named Westville, in the easternmost part of Oklahoma. Just 1,300 people call Westville home. He grew up in a family of modest means. I think that'd be safe to be able to say. The youngest of 7 children in a family that just didn't have much. His dad ran a very small plumbing company that then Mark Wayne took on and grew into being one of the largest plumbing companies in the entire state. He married his high school sweetheart, one of the smartest things he ever did, at just 20 years old. And he and Christy have developed a family that is a beautiful family of 3 children they had naturally and 3 children they chose that they adopted and took them in. It is a remarkable family and a remarkable success that you have actually led through a lot of hard work and a lot of love and tenacity. He is a person of faith that is not afraid to be able to talk about his faith in Jesus Christ, but he's also a person who has deep respect for all people. Mark Wayne has served in Congress for 14 years, 11 years in the House of Representatives, 3 here in the Senate. He's passed legislation that he will now be charged with actually implementing it in the order that was actually passed. He served on the Appropriations Committee here. He's served on Armed Services. He's served on the Help Committee here, and he's done an incredible job in the work that he's done with Indian Affairs. He is somebody who has the rare gift of bringing people together on both sides of the aisle. And the one thing I would say to every single person on this dais, regardless if you're a Republican or Democrat, if you want to sit down and talk about an issue, he's glad to be able to talk about it and to be able to work it out, and has very good relationships in the House and in the Senate. And he is not afraid to ask questions when he doesn't know the answer and to be able to research things. He and I have often talked about being up late, both of us, working on researching through an issue to try to be able to learn more about it, because the crazy thing about being in Congress is you don't know everything. You got to do the work. And Mark Wayne is not afraid to do the work. Over the past year and a few months, we've seen incredible progress on our southern border. Our southern border 18 months ago, I think we forget what it looked like. 12,000 people a day illegally crossing our border, just being waved in. No vetting, no background checks, 12,000 people a day. That is not happening anymore. Our numbers are down on the southwest border 96%. So you walk into an agency that has finally restored some order to our southern border, but there's a lot of work still to do with FEMA, with other areas of Homeland Security, and a very large agency with 250,000 people that are actually under your leadership there. So I am confident that you'll be able to take those things on. Not only am I confident, the National Border Patrol Council has already sent a letter in strong support here. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to insert to the record the National Border Patrol Council, their letter of support, leadership of the Cherokee Nation, their strong support, and then my fellow Senator Katie Britt has an opening statement who I'd like to also submit for the record with unanimous consent.
Without objection.
Thank you. This is a person that actually lives what we affectionately call in Oklahoma the Oklahoma Standard. That when hard things actually occur, you step up and you serve your neighbor, and you find ways to be able to help people to do the hard things that have to be done. So Mark Wayne, I appreciate your leadership. I appreciate your willingness to be able to step up in a season where DHS needs a leader to be able to step into that role and to be able to help our nation in so many different complicated areas, especially at a time when right now we can't even get funding to DHS. We've got to be able to have good, solid leadership there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It's the practice of this committee to swear in witnesses. Will the nominee please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you will give before this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. Senator Mullen, you are recognized for your opening statement.
I think before I can start my opening statement, I have to address the remarks that the chairman made, calling me a liar. Sir, I think everybody in this room knows that I'm very blunt and direct to the point, and if I have something to say, I'll say it directly to your face. If you recall, back in my House days, we actually did have this conversation because of the remarks that I made. You were in a room. I simply addressed that I said I could understand because of the behavior you were having, that I could understand why the neighbor did what he did. As far as my terms as a snake in the grass, sir, I work around this room to try to fix problems. I've worked with many people in this room. Seems like you fight Republicans more than you work with us. I did address those remarks. I did explain your gimmicks by the amendment you put forth. And as far as me saying that I invoke violence, I don't. I don't think anybody should be hit by surprise. I don't like that. But if I do have something to say, everybody in this room knows I'll come straight to you. I'll say it publicly and I'll say it privately, but I'll never say it behind your back. So for you to say I'm a liar, sir, that's not accurate. And I got proof to say that because you have spent millions of dollars in my campaigns against me because we just don't get along. However, sir, that doesn't keep me at all from doing my job. I can have different opinions with everybody in this room, but as Secretary of Homeland, I'll be protecting everybody, including Kentucky, as much as I will my own backyard in Oklahoma. It's bigger than the partisan bickering that we have. It's bigger than the political differences we have. The truth is, I have a job to do, and I don't like to fail at anything, at all. So I can set it aside if you're willing to set it aside. Let me earn your respect. Let me earn the job. I won't fail you. I won't back down from a challenge. And I'll also admit when I'm wrong. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. I make mistakes just like anybody else. But mistakes, if you own them, you can learn from them and you can move ahead. And I'll make that commitment to you. Ranking Member Peters, Chairman Paul, I do thank you for this opportunity. It is a humbling experience. A kid from Westville, Oklahoma, that grew up with a dad that worked hard. He set the work example for all of us. And all my families, and my siblings, we all work hard. And I'm proud of the family we have. But to say that a kid with a bad speech impediment would one day sit up here in front of you and be nominated to be the Secretary of Homeland, it was humbling enough to be selected by Oklahoma to be their U.S. representative when I didn't even know how to tie a tie. And 10 years later, to be able to be called a United States Senator and serve with all you guys. And I respect every one of you guys. I do. Regardless if I have an opinion about you or not, you were elected by your state, and I respect that. I may disagree with you, but I respect it because we all make decisions based on two things: the way you're raised, which never changes, and our life experiences, which constantly change. For me, to be able to have the love of my life behind me, somebody I literally fell in love with in 3rd grade, I knew I was going to marry her in 8th grade. She didn't know that yet. We had to work through that process. But at 18 years old, and I was 19, she agreed to marry me. I didn't have anything. I was on a wrestling scholarship, living in a dorm. She was cheering at Northeastern State University. I think she fell in love with my truck, because my truck was pretty cool. But the truth is, we didn't know what we didn't know, but we did know we loved each other. And I haven't been perfect. I apologize to her quite often and send her flowers all the time. But I still am humbled by the fact that we've got to enjoy this walk together. We've had God on our side and her right beside me. And to our 6 children who's been on this adventure with me, what an adventure it's been. We have a saying in our family: you're never going to change anything you're willing to tolerate. That's how we live our life, and that's how we move forward. And regardless of what's in front of us, we always take it on as a family. And I'm not scared of a challenge. I am scared of failure. And so I will work hard each day. I'll work hard to make the 280,000 employees at DHS with the 22 agencies that's underneath me proud. I'll show them somebody that no one will outwork. I'll work beside them every single day to not just secure a homeland, to bring peace of mind and confidence to the agency. My goal in 6 months is that we're not in the lead story every single day. My goal is for people to understand we're out there, we're protecting them, and we're working with them. My goal is to make every one of you guys proud. My goal, for those that don't support me, regret not supporting me. But we have to get DHS funded. We have to. My friends, we have to set the partisan side down. And we have to realize that we're putting our homeland and the peace of mind at risk for the American people. Sometimes it's political theater, sometimes it's true differences. But what we do know is that we're playing with fire. We have 280,000 DHS employees right now that are on day 30 without pay, and they're still showing up every single day to do their job. That is a dedicated group of people. And we should all be proud of them. We should all be working together, and we should all be trying to fund them. So I pray, seriously, I pray that we can get past this. That once this hearing is over and once we go through this process, I get it. I get some of it's got to be political theater. I understand it. I've had to really pray about my attitude. But I will say, once it's over, I hope we can work together and get them funded. So when I walk in, if I'm fortunate enough to be confirmed, if I walk in as secretary, that these guys are ready to go to work day one. So God bless you. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to your questions.
It's the standard practice of this committee for the chairman to ask nominees the following question. Do you agree without reservation to comply with any request or summons to appear or testify before any duly constituted committee of Congress if you're confirmed?
I do.
We'll now proceed to 7 minutes of questioning. The record should show, and I think will show, a lack of contrition, no apology, and no regrets for your support. You completely understand the violence that was perpetrated on me. You're unrepentant. The only thing you quibble about is whether I met you somehow when you were in the house. I don't think we ever met when you were in the house. And this idea that the only thing you're upset about is not that you were for violence. What you're upset about is that I called you a liar because you said it to my face. It's really more about this machismo that you have. When in Oklahoma the media ask you about the refugee welfare programs, the programs you voted to continue funding, it was this whole idea that you were going to transfer it because you were uncomfortable, your anger, low impulse control, causes you to then go after and decide that you're going to go after me as well. And so you say you completely understood that I was assaulted from behind, had 6 ribs broken and part of my lung removed, and that was just fine. That's something that you, I guess, approve of as far as resolution of political problems. When I talked to you privately on the phone, there was no apology. You just said, well, we can let our political difference, go by, and you said a few minutes ago, we can just set it aside. Well, political differences we can, but when you say that you agree with a felon, a Trump-hating felon who attacked me, somehow you think I'm just going to set that aside? Oh, it's no big deal. I lay in pain for 2 months, had 6 ribs broken, 3 of them separated, grinding upon bone for months, had part of my lung removed, and you think that's great and to be extolled. I mean, the sheer lack of any kind of self-awareness that you're going to be leading thousands of men and women who will have the use of force, and there's been great questions in our country about how that will be used, and you think a violent attack is just fine. So I guess my first question is, do you think that justifying that kind of violence sets a good example for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol?
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I didn't know the extent of your damage. When the phone call was made, I made it to you and I tried to talk to you. You didn't engage at all. In fact, you said, get your paperwork in. It's got to be at 3 days in between.
You offered no apology.
Sir?
And you offer no apology today and no regrets. Haven't heard the word apologize, haven't heard the word regret, haven't heard I misspoke and it was heated and I made a mistake. Haven't heard any of those words.
Sir, actually, it wasn't heated, and I'm not apologizing for pointing out your character.
Good. So you're jolly well fine, and you want the American public and the people up here to vote that may or may not vote for you to know that you supported the felonious, violent attack on me from behind.
I did not say I supported it. I said I understood it. There's a difference. So
that means you really didn't approve of it, just completely understand it. What do you think most people would interpret completely understand to be support for or a condemnation of the violence?
Sir, as I said, we can have our differences. It's not going to keep me from doing my job as Secretary of Homeland Security. I'm going to secure Kentucky.
I need to break away from that live hearing right now, trying to nominate the Secretary of Homeland Security, Markwayne Mullin. We'll go back to it here shortly. First, you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC+. 10:03 is the time here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Right now, we want to talk about the folks that are moving to Charlotte and what it does to your pocketbook or your wallet, because moving is already one of those life's most stressful events, right? Here in the Queen City, on average, 157 people or families are moving to the Charlotte region every day. That means 157 families and individuals trusting movers with everything they own. Bill Mulholland, founder of Agoyu, the online platform that lets you compare prices from movers and how they operate and what you can do to protect yourself. We need to go to Bill now, who joins us here on Live Impact News. Bill, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so we talk about here, people asking where's the money, and with these mover scams that are out there, that is certainly the first thing that happens when they realize that they've been scammed. What does your company do, first of all, using AI to help you move?
Yeah, unfortunately, the scams have gotten worse and they've become more prevalent. And we've created an app and a website that uses artificial intelligence to stop the scams.
Okay, so how does it? AI is very smart, but how does that break it down?
Yeah. So when you move, the inherent flaw in the industry is the mover charges based on what you have. And the way that these scams have gotten more sophisticated is movers are intentionally underbidding on the move and giving the customer one price. And then when the goods are loaded on their truck, they inflate the price and they won't let their goods off the truck until they get paid in full. And we hear this over and over and over again every day. I've been operating in the moving industry, in this broken industry, for 25 years. And what we've done is we've used vision technology to allow users to download our app, and they record where they live, and the AI categorizes everything they have in their house, and it instantly calculates the exact cost to move. And if you book your move through our platform, it creates a smart contract whereby we've certified exactly what is going to be moved and exactly what the price is going to be. And we've stopped the biggest issue in the moving industry, which is this bait and switch pricing.
Wow. So who is the typical victim then? Or is there a typical victim?
It comes in all shapes and sizes. The thing about moving is it's a big industry, and you gave the statistic of people moving to Charlotte, but 35 million Americans move every year, and $30 billion is spent on the moving industry. So the bad guys have gotten into it, and you're dealing with people, as you also said, who are emotional. Moving is stressful. And so making a financial decision under those type of circumstances can be hard, and they're going in for the kill. So it can be people who are retiring. It can be young people early in their career. It could be someone going through a life transition. Maybe their family's expanding and they need a new home. All the bad guys care about is they found an opening of how to go in for the kill and take your money and unfortunately not be held accountable by the law.
And speaking of openings, is there a starting point? Does this usually happen online or on a phone or a flyer?
It happens online. Like I said, I've been doing this for 25 years. I started my career in the employee relocation industry in 2000, and the internet has perpetuated this problem. And these companies are very sophisticated. And so when people are doing online searches, they're finding these movers and top 10 lists of the best movers, and they're negotiating a deal over the internet. And that's very hard to do because it is based on what you have to move. So AI is actually a great use case for moving because we're now digitizing this process. The moving industry really hasn't changed in 100 years. It's never been disrupted by technology. And the bad guys are using the internet to find their victims, hook them in with low prices, and then the day of the move, jack it up and hold their stuff ransom.
How does AI know that this painting, behind your sofa is worth gazillion dollars and doesn't lowball you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say the AI is the admin. The human certifies what's real. So when you download our app, it works really well, but when you scan your room, it immediately returns all the non-attached items. So we have a utility patent on our technology, and our patent was issued on the machine learning to teach the AI what a human would move and what a human would not move. So our AI does recognize your doors and your windows and your countertops, but it's only returning your clothes and your couches and your lamps. And it's up to the human to say, yes, I'm moving this, or no, the AI missed something. And then all of our moves require full valuation protection insurance. That's another big issue in the industry. So every move that's booked through our platform is fully insured up to $125,000 with no deductible. So we're vetting the movers before they come through the platform. We're accounting for all these things, but it is up to the person to sort of validate what the AI is returning. And like you said, maybe identify a high value item. Normally that's worth over $2,500, so the insurer can make a special note of that in case it's damaged.
So what are some of the other red flags then that folks miss when they book a scam mover?
Yeah, I mean, doing anything verbally is really hard to do in moving. It needs that visual survey. So we're using computing vision, but if you just have a mover come out to your house, that's step number one, instead of doing something over the phone or over the internet. Number two is to look at the contract. So I said that movers aren't accountable. You know, back in the day when you made an agreement, you agreed upon a price and you had a handshake, that meant something. Unfortunately, nowadays it has to be in writing and it's all about the law. So look at that contract and see what it says. Moves that are booked through our platform have guaranteed not to exceed pricing. That means it can go down, but it can't go up. So if you get a contract from a mover and it says, hey, the price may go up depending on if you have more stuff the day of the move, we really haven't seen it yet, that's their out. That's how these guys operate. So really read the fine print. And the last thing I'd say is be mindful of the deposit. It's normal for a mover to take a deposit because they are reserving their truck and their crew. About 10% is normal. But if they want half the money up front, that's another red flag that they're making it a lot harder for you to walk away when they jack up the price.
Okay. These are all great tips. Anything else that we should know once you've made the move or booked the mover and you're in the middle of the move now and you realize the truck has shown up?
You know, hopefully you've done your homework at that point, but if something happens, there are organizations out there that can help you. The U.S. Department of Transportation regulates moving. So the first thing I would do if you find yourself in a situation is to report it to the U.S. DOT. They will investigate. They have their hands full. There's a lot of this going on every day. So the best thing to do is avoid the situation. But if you're in it, go to the federal authorities and report it as fast as you can. And go to online trust signals, go to Yelp reviews, go to the Better Business Bureau, share your story to help other people who are hopefully going to do their research before they engage a mover, and tell other people what happened. That's the best way that we can stop this, is to spread the word. And the last thing I would say is don't be scared of technology. Technology is here to make our lives easier, not harder. A lot of people drive a car every day to work. They don't know how the engine exactly works, but they still drive the car. So use AI. Don't be scared to understand how it works, but how it's going to help you, because this is a perfect use case of saying, this is exactly what I have and here's exactly the price, and stopping this whole merry-go-round of bait and switch pricing.
All right. Good information there. Bill, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I want to take you back out to Washington, where the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee is holding a hearing for the nomination of Mark Wayne Mullen to be the Secretary of Homeland Security, in replacing Kristi Noem. We continue to listen in on Live Impact News.
Not often that I get to ask questions for somebody who I've known for a long time, meaning in politics, 2.5 years is a long time. I've gotten to know you as a friend, as a colleague. I've seen you interact as a dad. I've seen you interact as a husband. And I just want the American people to know you're a good man.
Thank you.
That doesn't always go through all the political shenanigans, and maybe you're not going to replace Shakespeare as the next greatest orator on earth. You talk from the heart, and that's okay. You are who you are. You don't, and I think that's what you don't apologize for, is just being yourself. And sometimes we're imperfect. We don't do the 20-person focus group every time you say a word, and I think that's what people like about you, Mark Wayne. So I appreciate you being here. I honestly just have one question for you. Do you pledge to support and defend the United States of America nearly as much as you would protect and defend your family?
Without doubt, sir, yes.
So I'm going to ruin everything for the audience. You will be confirmed. You will have the job, and you're going to make this country safer and better, and for that I thank you and thank your family for supporting you. So I will use the rest of my time now to make a little case to the American people. We have 260,000 families that have not received a paycheck in over a month. 260,000 American citizen families who have not received a paycheck in over a month. None of those people are in charge of policy. There's not one of those families that makes policy decisions for the most part. That's on the people here. There isn't a single human being on this dais that has missed a paycheck. Every single one of us has gotten a paycheck the last 30 days and before that. And yet we sit here and we do political theater. And I said to my colleague, Senator Britt, the other day, that in my 14 months here, I only felt ashamed of this chamber once, and that was last Thursday, when you saw the ultimate political theater. Colleagues going, let's fund TSA. How about the Coast Guard? Oh, that's a different person that's going to talk about that. How about FEMA? It's a different person that's going to talk about that. You can't have it both ways, by the way. You can't have Democrats saying, I can't believe the Trump administration is cutting government employee numbers. By the way, over 300,000, we haven't missed a beat. And yet at the same time not pay people who are actually showing up for it. That seems decently incongruous. We can't say President Trump isn't defending the homeland. Well, he is absolutely doing that every single day, and yet we're allowing these agencies to not be funded. And I have tried really hard to learn how this place works. This is all very new to me. And I remember many, many Democrats saying to me, we have the constitutional duty to fund agencies through appropriations. And then we have a separate piece where we argue policy differences, but we should never marry both together. Because when you marry both together, you don't hurt us. You don't hurt the people here in D.C. You hurt the men and women who are going to work every day to defend this country. And that's a disgrace. I actually don't know how you would sleep at night knowing that you're hurting families like that. People can't make their rent payments, can't make their mortgage payments. Their cars are being repossessed. They're having to tell their kids they can't send them to dance recitals because they did everything right in life except got a job with the Department of Homeland Security so that a politician can make a 30-second video online and then use it to fundraise for the next election. That's disgusting. So let me just say this. What are we not talking about? You know, the ranking member said, oh, look, we said we'd fund. He's not paying attention right now, which is fine. We said we're going to fund FEMA. When you guys are done talking, I'll continue if you like. Are you done? Okay, thank you. It's extraordinarily disrespectful. All right, so moving on. you've said you're going to fund all these agencies. Here's ones that you haven't funded. USCIS, near and dear to my heart. Near and dear to my heart. That's how I became a U.S. citizen. We've defunded the agency that allows legal immigrants into this country? That is insane. Never hear the Democrats talk about that. 3,300 employees just go to work every day trying to process legal immigrants. They don't need a paycheck. I'm going to skip the second one, go to the third one. Biological and nuclear threat prevention. That seems important. That seems like an agency we should fund. 200 employees, not getting a paycheck. That's okay with the Democrats. The next one, 60,000 employees for U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. People who are inspecting packages, they work with your Teamsters, work with Customs. They're not getting paid. How do you look at those people in the face and know that you're doing that? Now let's talk about Immigration Customs Enforcement. 7,000 special agents that are stopping transnational criminal organizations, drug smugglers, and human traffickers. Are you, in the Democrat side, asking not to fund that? Because ultimately, what this is about is defunding ICE and law enforcement. Are you suggesting that we not fund an organization that attacks transnational organizations? Be specific. Be specific when you say you don't want to fund ICE. I want you to say the words, we do not want to fund 7,000 special agents that are in charge of stopping transnational criminal organizations, drug smugglers, and human traffickers. This job isn't complicated. The American people send us here to get things done, and yet for the third time in 6 months, we've shut down this government with total impunity. They will go home and just make social media videos and try to blame Republicans. It is a disgrace. It's even more of a disgrace, honestly, that you talked about the respect that Senator Mullen shares. You guys have side conversations, don't listen, and that's fine. You don't have to. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave. I'm going to go pay respects to 3 soldiers who died so that we can have the liberties that we enjoy here. And you guys continue with political theater, personal attacks, whatever you can do. I know that is a good man. I will vote for you. Our Republican colleagues will vote for you. You will get confirmed. You will do a great job, and you will make this country proud, Mark Wayne. Thank you, and thank you for standing by a great American person.
Senator Hassan.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I start with
All right, as they introduce the next speaker to go ahead and talk to the nominee, Mark Wayne Mullen, we'll take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Time right now is 10:24 and live impact news on WCNC Plus. We take you back out to the nomination hearing for Homeland Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen out of Oklahoma. This is live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
The law, would you follow the law or follow the president's direction?
Senator, thank you for the questions and thank you for the concerns. First of all, I've enjoyed working with you on several different issues. We've had very blunt conversations. To answer your question, the president would never ask me to do that.
Well, certainly everyday Americans who have served on juries would disagree with you about that. And the example he has set calls into question that answer. Let's
Senator,
move, sir.
yeah.
I have limited time, as
Okay,
you
yes,
well know.
go ahead.
In the past 14 months, Secretary Noem has fundamentally broken the American people's trust in the Department of Homeland Security. The top priority of whoever leads this department next must be to rebuild this trust. If confirmed to lead the department, how will you be different from Secretary Noem?
Senator, I think I've said this in a private conversation too. I love Senator Noem's family, and I consider them friends. But everybody has different leadership styles. And throughout my businesses, when I would have to transfer one manager to the next or one executive to another area, and now you bring in a different one, they all have different management styles. My management style is empowering people. And as I said in my opening statement, I want to protect the homeland. I want to bring peace of mind. And I want to bring confidence back to the agency. I'm not going to be the smartest guy in any room I walk into, but I know how to get talent, and I know how to bring those people together.
Let me interrupt you again. I'm sorry, sir, because our time is limited. But let's be really clear. What Secretary Noem did was give the green light to lawless behavior. Are you going to give the green light to lawless behavior?
I will operate within the parameters and the policies and the laws that you guys set for me.
And the Constitution
and I don't
of
get
the United States.
Of course, the Constitution
the Fourth
of the United
Amendment,
States.
among other things.
Of course, the Constitution of the United States. I'll swear to uphold that when I get sworn in. But be very clear, I don't get to choose the laws that I enforce. You guys pass the laws. I enforce those laws.
Right.
And the reason why we haven't had...
shooting a protester who was exercising his First Amendment speech and carrying a lawfully licensed gun is not a lawful behavior. Now let's move on to another issue. Granite Staters pushed back hard against ICE's plan to build a detention center in Merrimack, New Hampshire. And despite poor communication from the department, eventually Secretary Noem canceled the plans for this facility. Senator, will you ensure that the Merrimack plan remains off the table, or will you consider restarting it?
Ma'am, I haven't seen the facts behind it. As I stated when we spoke in your office, I will work with you on this. We want to be good partners in your state and in your community. I don't know the strategic purpose of it. I don't know what has happened, so it's hard for me to state something that I haven't got briefed on. But I have made this very clear to you in private and here too. I will work with the community leaders and make sure that we're delivering for the American people what the president set out.
I appreciate that. In follow-up conversations with my office, ICE refused to comment on opening new facilities elsewhere in New Hampshire. They've said they won't do it in Merrimack, New Hampshire. But will you commit to me that ICE will not open any new facilities in New Hampshire or elsewhere in the country without the support of the local community?
Ma'am, I will work with the local community, and I'll work with you in your office. I won't be able to speak to that until I understand the risk and the reason behind delivering the mission that's set in front of us. We got to protect the homeland, and we're going to do that. But obviously, we want to work with community leaders. We want to be good partners, and we're going to work in your state as hard to make sure we build relationships and work in that manner.
Well, look, I will be here for a second round of questions because I have a lot more, but let me just point this out. Americans want to secure their country.
I agree.
We all love this country. We all know we need to be safe, secure, and we all want to be free together. The people of New Hampshire will take into consideration a request by ICE and the federal government to do its part, but transparency and local control and respect of local people throughout New Hampshire and throughout the country is an essential piece of our democracy. And what I've been hearing from ICE and from other DHS folks is, well, the pushback's too hard. You either can make the case for these facilities and explain how you're going to support the local community and deal with the fact that they'll lose property tax dollars, for instance, or if you can't make the case, it shouldn't be built. So I really would encourage the department and all of us to remember that this is a government of by and for the people, and if you can't make the case to the people, you shouldn't be doing it. Thank you.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mark Wayne, I'm going to use my time completely different than how I was going to when I walked into this hearing. I can't top what Senator Marino, the comments he made about how unconscionable it is that we're not funding and we're not providing paychecks to those 260,000 men and women that you will be soon leading. Other than working with no labels, we don't serve on the same committees, have never gone on Codell together, and that's oftentimes how you get to know our colleagues. So I don't know you as well as some of the other people on the dais here. Certainly within conference, we've seen each other interact. We share a couple things in common. I think we're both pretty passionate about our love for this country, about trying to fix the enormous messes left behind by President Biden, Democrats. We wear emotions on our sleeves. But I will say that I've been here 15 years. I've been through a lot of confirmation hearings. I've listened to a lot of nominees. I've heard a lot of introductions. If one of your first decisions as a nominee was to pick the person to introduce you, you couldn't have done a better job. I mean, the introduction from Senator Langford was probably one of the most genuine and heartfelt I've ever heard. And I will say your opening statement was probably one of the more genuine and heartfelt testimonies I've ever heard, if not the most. I'm looking behind you at the people who have come here to support you, your former colleagues in the House, Chairman Smith, a former Speaker of the House, Senator Britt. But I see Josh Gottheimer there. He's not a Republican member of the House. He's a Democrat. I've seen you interact with him trying to get some permitting reform. Please, briefly, because I want you to tell another story here yet, but just talk a little bit about your relationship with Josh and other members of the House.
Josh and I, we may not always agree on every issue, but he's a friend. And our relationship started back in 2017 when he thought I was a staff member running a workout group, because I've been running a bipartisan workout group that started actually with Speaker Kevin McCarthy and Jason Smith 13 years ago, and I still do that to this day. When he came in 17, Joe Kennedy, who is also a friend of mine, he approached him when I was on the House floor and asked him, why is a trainer in the gym on the House voting? And to which Joe Kennedy laughed and said, he's a member from Oklahoma. And after that, we became friends. In fact, our daughters are writing a book together about bipartisanship. But when Josh asked me to join a bipartisan group called No Labels, that's when we really started seeing that there's a lot of common ground that we can work together. Yeah, as I said in my opening statement, that we all make decisions based on how we're raised and our life experiences. And Josh and I was raised different, just like everybody on this dais is raised different than me, and we've had different life experiences. But we all believe in that flag right there behind you. And what I say is, as long as you love that flag as much as I do, and you're willing to die for that flag like I am, we can work together. We can set the differences aside, and we can work together. And Josh represents that too. Just for him being here, you guys know, he's got a primary in New Jersey. He's not a senator, has 6 years. He's up every 2 years, and he's here. That's a friend that says, hey, my political differences are beside, I still like you. I cannot tell you how many members on the Democrat Party, which I love and respect and I understand the politics, have came up to me since this nomination and say, hey, I love you, but I'm running for this office, but I'm running for this office, but I'm up for re-election. I'd be killed in my state. In most cases, I would support you, but. And it drives me crazy, but when you see a real friend like that, run through fire for the guy.
So again, this is a nomination hearing, and from my standpoint, when you're trying to select somebody to run an operation, you want somebody with integrity, somebody with that passion toward the mission, keeping this nation safe, having this love for this country. It's also, I think, incredibly important that when you're serving the administration, you have a good relationship with the president. It doesn't work so well. I know you've got a good relationship with the president, and you told me a story, and I want you to repeat that story of your son who was grievously injured and a visit that the President of the United States made to that hospital. I want you to tell the story because I think it's important that people understand why you are loyal to President Trump. I'd like them to hear a different side of President Trump as well.
Yeah.
But I think also that'll serve you well as his Secretary of Homeland Security. But just tell that story.
Ron, I'm going to try getting through it without crying then. It's not about President Trump, it's about my son. So my son was a really world-class athlete, and January 17th of 2020, which mind you was an election year, he had a really serious brain injury. Woke up 26 hours later and he's a different kid. We almost lost him. For 26 hours, he had extremely low pulse. There was a time they thought that they lost his pulse altogether. And when he woke up, he was just different. I mean, here he had a world-class athlete that wrestled all over the world since he was 12 years old, and he couldn't touch his nose. He couldn't walk without shuffling his feet. He had short-term memory loss. He couldn't control his muscles, couldn't add 5+3. He was in high school at that time, had to learn how to read, walk, everything. And the president found out about it, and he gave me a call immediately. And one thing that the president joked about was, like, he said, let me get this straight. He doesn't know who you and Christy are, but he knew who I was because the only question you got right is who the president was. And he said, Trump, with this cocky grin on his face. And but the president didn't understand the severity of it, but he heard it in my voice, and immediately he went to work. I told him we had to get to Bakersfield, California, to the Center for Neural Skills, which is one of the best neural rehabilitation places in the world. And the president offered us in his plane, his personal plane. This is the president of the United States. And I said, sir, we can't fly, we got to drive. We get there, and he called almost every day for 2 weeks checking on Jim. And then he says, I'm going to come see him. And now this is the middle of the election. This is Bakersfield, California. Really not an area he's got to go campaign. And he took the time to come up there and see Jim. And the center told us that the short-term memory loss something would trigger it. Some big event would eventually trigger where he'd start retaining stuff. Until then, he was still having issues. And the president arrived, and of course there was cameras and everybody around, and of course none of the media ever talked about it, which was funny because the president called him on stage and talked to him. And then we went to the back, and the president didn't talk to me. He didn't know I was in, I mean, he didn't care if I was in the room. Here's a guy that's been over, and his tie is about as long as my son because my son's, it stunted his growth, and so he's 5'3" the rest of his life. And his team came to him twice and said, sir, we got to go, we got to go. On the third time they came over to him, he looked at him and he says, hey, I guarantee you that plane won't leave without me. And for the next 15 minutes, he did nothing but love on my son. That one incident jogged his memory. And from then on, he started retaining things. And Jim's attitude went from this, we're going to get through it, to this, I'm going to get through it. And every week, if not most days, the president would call and ask how he could help. Ask how's his buddy doing? How's Jim doing? He didn't do it for publicity. He didn't do it for any show. He was running in one of the toughest elections he had been in, and the guy was still that concerned about my son. When we got released for a little bit, we had to go back. When we got released a little bit, the president said, come to Mar-a-Lago and see me. We go down there, and it's amazing. And when we're leaving, dang it, I hate getting emotional. See, if I talk about my kids, I get emotional. Other than that, you can't make me cry. But my kids do make me emotional.
That's actually a good thing.
Yeah. So anyways, he grabbed my son, and he said, do you know why I love your dad? Do you know why I love your dad? Chrissy tells the story better than I do. And he goes, no, sir. He goes, because he loves you. Because of you. Because of you. Man, he didn't do it for any other reason. I mean, here's the President of the United States, and he did it just because he cared. And so when you want to say why he's a friend, yeah, We were acquaintances before that. We've been friends ever since.
The American people need to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Blumenthal.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Senator Mullen. Thank you for being here today, and thank you to your family for your service and theirs. I hope that you will be as emotional about the children who are presently detained at Dilley and other camps in the United States of America, where they have been subjected to conditions that would outrage and have angered many Americans. We're here because of a lawless and reckless agency that has broken into homes without judicial approval, shot United States citizens, detained them without any cause, and sometimes killed them. And I am looking for real substantive reform in that agency, as you and I have discussed when you came to talk to me. A break with the past, with former Secretary Noem and with the White House, Steve Miller and others who have used Kristi Noem in effect as a puppet to implement lawless policy. I welcome that you have stated you regret your statement.
And again, you're watching live the nomination hearing for Homeland Secretary nominee Markwayne Mullin out of Oklahoma. We need to take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 10:43 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, we'll get you back out to the Mullin hearing now happening live in Washington. You're watching Live Impact News.
A statement that was made regarding the Preddy killing by Steve Miller in the White House. He said, quote, that Preddy was a domestic terrorist who, quote, tried to assassinate federal law enforcement. Don't you think it was irresponsible and reckless for Stephen Miller to post that claim on X without any evidence, just as you have retracted your statement?
Senator, I believe that question is better asked to Stephen Miller, not myself. I can't speak for him.
Well, Stephen Miller also said, again on Fox News, quote, under President Trump's leadership, we are looking to set a goal of a minimum of 3,000 arrests for ICE every day. If you're confirmed, are you going to be directing ICE to arrest 3,000 people a day?
Sir, once again, can't speak for Senator or for Stephen Miller, but I can say the President has tapped me to be the Secretary of Homeland, and I will lead that department, and I'll lead it.
So will you continue that arrest quota of 3,000 people a day?
No quota has been set for me, sir.
Well, in effect, it's a quota if the White House directs the DHS secretary.
The President of the United States sets the policies, and I'll be working with the President. If you have a question for Stephen Miller, please
Well, I
ask
really
him.
regret that you are going to stick to those same policies and practices and condone the statements of the White House that are so demeaning to someone who was a victim of lawlessness and recklessness by an ICE officer.
Senator, I didn't say that.
Well, let me ask you
putting words in my
then
mouth.
a different question. ICE has been breaking into people's homes without any judicial warrant. The sanctity of our homes is absolutely critical. I think you'd agree with that point. And it is the law that a judicial warrant is required to forcibly enter someone's home. Kristi Noem acknowledged in her testimony in response to my questions that at least 28 break-ins have occurred. My ranking member leadership on the subcommittee for permanent investigation has produced a report that shows probably many more such break-ins have occurred. The result of a memo last May from the acting director, Todd Lyons, and it's behind me now, that instructed ICE agents to break into homes. I understand that during your staff interview last week, you said that there would be no more such break-ins to people's homes without a judicial warrant. If confirmed, will you commit to me and the chair and ranking member of this committee and the American people that ICE will no longer instruct agents to break into people's homes without a judicial warrant?
Sir, you're using the word break into people's houses very loosely. However, I have made it very clear to the staff, and I think when you and I spoke, that judicial warrants will be used to go into houses, into place of businesses, unless we're pursuing someone that enters in that place. I have not mixed words with that, and I haven't changed my opinion about that.
A whistleblower testified to our hearing that, in fact, ICE agents have been instructed as part of their training to forcibly enter. I know you don't like the word break-in, but forcibly enter is breaking into somebody's home, bashing down the door, terrorizing children, instructed them to adopt this policy. Will you commit that no longer will ICE agents or CBP agents be instructed to forcibly enter people's homes without a judicial warrant?
Sir, I've already answered this question for you. I said we will not enter a home or a place of business without a judicial warrant, unless we're pursuing the individual that runs into a place of business or a resident or a house.
Senator Langford.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Wayne, right now, is FEMA currently funded?
No, sir.
Is CISA currently funded dealing with cybersecurity?
No, sir.
How about TSA?
No, sir.
Secret Service?
No, sir.
Coast Guard?
No, sir.
Customs and Border Protection?
No, sir.
The Weapons of Mass Destruction Office?
No, sir.
Customs professionals?
No, sir.
This is something we got to get resolved. We can complain all we want to about where things are, but we have an argument and a disagreement on policy areas, and 250,000 federal employees and their families are the ones that are suffering because of our argument. There's a way to solve this. We've talked about it a lot. We should just stay here until we're done. Just keep arguing it out until we've actually solved the problem. But instead, we broke last weekend. Everybody flew home right past the TSA agents that are not getting paid while we flew home. Why didn't we stay? To be able to try to get things resolved. That's my encouragement, has been my encouragement all along. We shouldn't walk away from a disagreement when there are families all over the country that are the ones suffering for it. Unfortunately, the state of Oklahoma is pretty familiar with natural disasters, as you know well. You and I have been in multiple different natural disaster scenes. There's a lot of work that's happened at the border so far. The border has moved from 12,000 people a day illegally crossing the border and being released into the country, unvetted, unchecked, to now a handful of people even attempt to cross our southern border, and those that are arrested and detained, as is the law. FEMA is still an undone project. And I'm not blaming that on Christy. There's a lot to get done on it, but you're going to walk in with a project going on with FEMA right now. Love to get your ideas and your thoughts. You're very familiar with this area and have great experience on it. What are your thoughts on how to be able to get FEMA into a better place so that people aren't waiting forever for a response?
FEMA was never designed to be the first responder. That's the states. FEMA was designed to be the assistance to the states when the disaster reaches certain levels, which we need to discuss those too, because I think some of the levels are unrealistic, especially Senator Hassan and I have talked about this, that sometimes in rural areas they're not able to meet those thresholds. But working with the state, allowing the state to have their emergency response, FEMA simply helping write checks and assuring that they have the capability and the manpower if need be. But for the FEMA to walk in like FBI walking on a crime scene and taking over, no one's going to care more about their backyard than the people that live there in that state. And I think there's a lot of good ideas. I've heard at meeting with so many of you all, there were so many great ideas on how to make FEMA work better. It's got a great mission. And I think people at FEMA want to do their job, but we can be more effective and be more direct and speed it up. Taking years to get reimbursed is not acceptable. Taking, honestly, months to get reimbursed is not acceptable. See, small municipalities, they can't afford it. They don't have that tax base to do it. And they're already going through a struggling time, which means they're probably losing tax revenue, especially if it hits their town. So we've got a lot of work there. I do believe that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That means we're going to look at each one of the 22 agencies that fall underneath DHS and say, how can we deliver the mission better for the American people?
It's great. That'd be a huge help to everybody. Talking about the length of time it takes to get a response, you've been a part of, as I have, on the nonprofit security grants that are out there. We have some locations that are higher risk than others. Synagogues and temples have been one of those very high-risk locations that are out there. Last week in Michigan, we had another situation where a absolute terrorist drove a vehicle packed with explosives into a Jewish daycare.
And we will continue to monitor things there from the Mullen nomination hearing out of Washington, D.C. We need to grab one more break here on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Back here now at 10:54 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We have a few more minutes before we let you go. But let's go ahead and dip back in Washington, D.C., the nomination hearing for Homeland Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen, as he is now speaking on WCNC Plus.
Agency heads, with a lack of funding right now, we have people quitting because they got to go to work. Meeting these demands are even going to be tougher. So we just talk about FIFA, for instance, and then you talk about 2028, which is going to be the busiest year of DHS in history because we have the Olympics and we have the presidential election going on. It'll take 4 months once funding comes in to start replacing those that we've lost for training before we can get them out in the field. We don't have 4 months with FIFA. But that's what, and how do we expect these people to stay on the job and work? We're losing institutional knowledge. We're losing people we've already trained, and it's going to be difficult to deliver this mission. The way that I understand is we're behind in UAS, and we're behind in FIFA right now on actually delivering the mission that we have to. We're also behind in reimbursing local communities that's also working with us. That's going to have to take a tremendous amount of focus and partnership. And we, like I said in my opening statement, failure is not an option, so we've got to deliver. But sometimes when you have to rush like this, especially trying to get people on the job because we just quit funding them for the third time in less than a year, and we expect these people to keep working, it puts the mission at risk, and we have a lot of work to do here.
Yeah, thanks for stepping up. Christy, thank you. This is a strain on the family and everything else right now. So thanks, y'all, for stepping into this role. Look forward to supporting your nomination.
Thank you.
Senator Kim.
Thank you, Chairman. Senator Mullen, thanks for coming out here. I wanted to just start. Secretary Noem said in a cabinet meeting about almost exactly a year ago today that we should be eliminating FEMA. Can you commit to us here that you don't support that approach and you wouldn't attempt to eliminate FEMA?
As I said, I think it needs to be restructured, not eliminated.
I think there is going to be bipartisan support for reforms. I think we all understand that, and we certainly saw a lot of problems when it came to Superstorm Sandy. I asked Secretary Noem to work with us, especially as they were going about their FEMA Review Council. I'll be honest with you, that never materialized. We did not see the kind of engagement here that we're ready to have. We have a bipartisan group of senators that want to come up with reforms. Is that something you can commit to working with us on?
Senator, I think all of us that's been either in the House or in the Senate always complain about the outreach of agencies. I will make a commitment to you that I'm going to have the best.
At 10:57 here on Live Impact News, we need to let you go for now, but I wanted to leave you with this live picture at Queen's University, where the team, for the first time, getting ready to pack up. They are going to St. Louis, first time ever in university history, playing in the NCAA 4. They're playing Purdue in St. Louis on Friday. We wish them well. Go Queen's Royals? Go Royals! Bye.
Bye.